for subscribing to my channel. Please tell a friend to subscribe as well. There's a lot of good news on this channel. Previous video we were looking at weathering. Today we are also going to be looking at weathering, especially erosion and deposition. Right, I've got my little rock over here. I don't know if you can see. Let me just bring you closer. Right, I've got my little rock over there. There's a little thingy there, it's falling off. Right, you can just pause and check that out. Right, with erosion, with weathering, we've got the different types of weathering. We've got frost shattering. Remember we were talking about in the previous video about freeze and thaw where the thing freezes overnight and then it shrinks because of the temperature, and then during the day with the sunlight and the heat it starts expanding, and eventually it will become brittle and then slowly but surely break apart, right, as things go on. Then there's also exfoliation. Exfoliation is like a product from freeze and thaw. As the rock freezes, expands, becomes brittle, some pieces of it starts falling off. Like it says exfoliate, which means there's some layers. Like our skin, we've got layers, and some girls want to put some nice things on their faces, and then at some point they have to exfoliate and get all that off. Here we've got the rocks with its different layers, and as the rock becomes brittle, some of those layers start breaking off on the outside. That's the process of exfoliation due to freeze and thaw as well. Carbonization, we spoke about the acidity of the rain and the limestone and its chemical compositions and how they mix and then eventually turns an insoluble into a soluble. Right, so check out the previous video for that. And then oxidation is basically rocks containing iron. Those rocks then, as they contain iron, when they meet with the chemical acidic raindrops or rain as such, they develop rust. Rust starts developing due to the iron, and then that breakdown, that chemical process actually starts helping the rock to break down faster, because as the rust will depreciate the iron inside of the rocks, eventually the rocks will start getting brittle as well. Right, with biological weathering, we talked about plants growing into rocks. Then we also talked in the previous video about people. With biological weathering, that mainly has to do with plants and animals. You have the moles, you have them digging holes in the ground, you have to have them making tunnels in the ground and then pushing up soil, exposing rocks and sand to the elements where they would be exposed to heat, cold, and so forth, and then go through the process of exfoliation and freeze and thaw and all those things. Then we also have the earthworms also digging holes and things. Then also plants breaking through rocks, breaking rocks, and then also people coming in for planting, people coming in with machinery and then starts breaking down things. Right. Then we're going to be looking at erosion. Right, first one we have here is ice erosion, then we have river erosion, then wind erosion, 3 types. Right. The first type, ice erosion. Ice erosion also with the rocks. As the rock then takes up water in the cracks, as the water the rock starts taking on water in the cracks, water starts filling up in the crack. I've got 3 stages here. Let me just bring you closer. Right. Where are you? Right. I've got three stages here. The first one, second one, and third one. Here, the water then just drops into the crack, and overnight, as it's starting to freeze, starting to form ice, and then with that ice, the ice starts expanding. Ice expands as it freezes. Water expands as it freezes. Right. So basically, it will be forcing that crack open. Right. With that forcing of the crack, this is where we come in with the exfoliation. That is how the rock starts breaking apart, and then eventually in this water maybe a seed falls in there, and then with that you'll find that the plant is now starting to grow in the rock, and then sometimes we will find a tree growing out of the rock, so find some grass, lichens, whatever, they will be growing out of the rocks, alright. And then their roots carry on burrowing into where the rock is exposed with more cracks, and as it digs in, it starts breaking as well, right? Ice erosion, the water expands as it freezes, starts breaking the rock. River erosion, I've got my stages over here again. Let me just bring you closer, hoping you can see this. My first stage here, I've got ice erosion again, where it formed a glacier. Yeah, we'll go to river erosion now. Ice erosion, here I have a glacier. The glacier is on a steep incline. So as the glacier grows and gets heavy, eventually it will start moving. And as it's moving, it will be scraping the ground, the surface, as it may. It will be scraping, and everything that it contains, it will be scraping the ground, eventually moving whatever sand or topsoil is in front of it. It will eventually just grade it and just move it as it goes, right? And then the process of it moving, those little pieces and rocks and things that stuck inside there will eventually move with it, and as it digs its way on the flat surfaces until it reaches a place where it cannot slide anymore. Yeah. So basically then we have river erosion. With river erosion, down here we have our raindrops falling onto a flat surface, and eventually that surface, then eventually the water will start running into a direction where it can run, and then with the buildup of the water, you'll find that the water, as it runs, it has a speed and a velocity, right? With that velocity, it starts picking up, it starts also digging into the soil, into the topsoil. I've got my levels here. Firstly, we'll start with just a small little stream. As the water would then build up into just from a small little stream, then eventually building up into a thicker stream, building up until it's now a very wide situation where there's a lot of water gushing right in the same direction as the how can I say the level of the ground or the level of the surface now becomes more steep. It will eventually then run faster. And as it runs faster, the more it will dig into the surface, and then the more it digs in, the more it picks up rocks and soil. This is where we call that, with the river's flow, we call it a suspended load, and also the river's load with salt and salt. So basically this will be mixed with sand and mud thingies, and then the bigger rocks, where the water will be running very fast with a high velocity, the rocks then, the bigger rocks are being pushed by the current, the strength of the current, until it reaches a place where it cannot flow anymore, right? But in that process where it is in the river, in the water, flowing with the water, that is called the river's load. And as it flows, it will basically knock against the surface and then burrow into the surface, and then eventually the river then will then start going deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper as it digs in. As those rolling rocks or the load dig in, this is very corrosive. This is basically corrosion and erosion, right? So basically in the flow, right? In the flow, the river has a load. That load eventually leads to erosion, and then the river starts getting deeper and so forth and so forth, right? With wind erosion, with wind, I've got wind up here. Let me see if I can get you just closer. You can pause this there. There. Right. I've got wind erosion there. Over here, I've got my big rock, right? And here is my illustration of wind and the direction of my wind, right? Here I've got some red dots and black dots, and here with wind, you will find that with wind, you will find sand and particles in the wind as it blows. And then my little dots here, basically, this is what they call suspension, where sand, very, very light sand particles are stuck in the wind, in the air, suspended, and will be moving with the wind, right? Now the heavier parts down there on the surface, they won't be suspended up there in the wind, but they will be rolling on the surface, right, the earth's surface, and then they will be moving along. As they will be rolling on the earth's surface, let's say there's a rock in front of them, this is my rock there, a rock in front of them, and those little particles that's too heavy for the wind to pick up and suspend will be eventually just knocking against the rock, and with that knocking, it will start corroding that rock and eroding that rock, hitting it, and then eventually Like exfoliation, outer parts, outer layers will be eaten away by that corrosive effect, right? So the heavier parts on the surface of the floor will be rolling with the wind. The very light particles, they will be traveling with the wind, suspended in the air. But the ones down there, hitting on another surface, that will then start eroding or corroding that whatever it hits, all right? So the bigger parts are down there, they cannot be suspended, they will be rolling with the wind. Then I've got deposition. Deposition actually goes with rubber. Deposition here is where the rubber and carries its load and stuff like that. All those rocks, the bigger rocks that flow just like this, where the bigger rocks in the wind cannot be picked up. The rocks in the river can only roll as far as the current, the strength of the current can take them. So if the water on a flatter surface and it's not on an incline, if it's on a flatter surface, the water won't be strong enough to push the bigger rocks. So it will push the sand and the silt, but it won't be able to push the bigger rocks. So where the bigger rocks will rest, that is the process where we call deposition, where it cannot be pushed by the element or the water's flow, okay? So then eventually that will sit there. That is called the process of deposition. On the beaches, on the sand, as the wind blows, as the waves push out little broken off pieces of shells and rocks and stuff, eventually it will become on the beach, lying on the beach until then it's eroded again with wind and all that whole process. And then you'll find, on the beach, you'll find a big piece of sand. With that sand, there's a lot of broken rocks and stuff. So all of that comes from the sea, pushed out by the water, and then eventually deposited on that, forming a beach, all right? And then, yeah, that is the thing with erosion and deposition. Thank you for joining on my channel. Please ask a friend to subscribe, and then a lot of good things. Let's start leveling up, yeah? Thanks.